First, I think it's going to be interesting. The title is going to be interesting for you. Creating stunning sites with Liferay. You are wondering, we can already do that before 7.1, but it's a little bit difficult, and in some cases, it takes a lot of effort. That's for developers, but imagine for business users. It's much, much difficult for them. So the vision for 7.1 is to empower marketers and other business users to easily create stunning sites. This was something that Jorge mentioned today during his talk, and we are going to go deeper in those aspects. We are going to see the features that were introduced by web experience in the area of site creation. So for that, this will look similar to you because it was already presented this morning. We are going to talk about 3 main roles during the life cycle of site creation. First, the marketer or our business user who will be in charge to create the pages. It can be a landing page, a news page, or any other page. Then we have the web developer that designs or establishes the visual aspects of those pages, and the designer who creates the components so that everything can be accomplished. So we are going to go into one of the key tasks of site creation, which is creating pages. And for that, as you already know, we have traditional pages which are composed of widgets where you just drag and drop a widget on the page, such as a blog or a web content display widget, and it creates structured content which can change over the time. And in Liferay 7.1, we have a new type of page, which is content page. And it's created with fragments. You just drag and drop a fragment, the fragment that you want to add to the page, and you can inline edit if it's available, and the page is created easily. But that we are not trying to replace content pages. They coexist together. You will be available to choose any page you want to, depending on the needs that you have at the moment. So, and on that, please, Pavel.
And now we are going to pass through the first part of our story, creation of fragments by a web developer. And what is a fragment? In our vision, page fragment is a construction block for the pages and page templates. Page fragments are independent. One fragment doesn't depend on the others. They are reusable. You can reuse the same fragment on many pages and page templates, and they are very customizable. You can easily customize the appearance and the behavior of any fragment. To create fragments is really easy, and in Liferay 7.1, we have fragments administration application where we have a fragments editor divided into 4 windows. 1 window for HTML markup, 1 for CSS style sheet, 1 for JavaScript code, and the preview window. It's really similar to the famous online tools like JS Fiddle and CodePen. So for web developers, it must be really similar and really comfortable to work with. But it's not the only way to create fragments, and the web developer can use a preferred tool like Atom, Visual Studio Code, Sublime, and so on to create fragments and then import them into a Liferay instance. And we created a special command line tool which allows you to create a package ready to be imported to the Liferay instance. Fragments HTML markup has different extension points. And the first extension points of the Fragments HTML is a possibility to create editable zones. Using a special tag called LFR-editable, a web developer can define an editable zone which will be editable inline on a page or page template. And out of the box, we support 3 types of editable elements: text, rich text, and image. For the text and rich text editables, we instantiate a LOE editor inline on a page or page template. And for the image editables, we use Liferay image selector. Another extension point of the Fragments HTML markup is a possibility to embed popular widgets into the Fragments code. And using special tags called LFR-widget-alias of the widget, you can easily add dynamic content to your fragment embedding popular widgets like navigation menu, asset publisher, web content display, media gallery, and so on. And after that, on a page or a page template, a business user can configure this widget using a standard configuration interface for this widget. But we are not limited to the Liferay widgets only, and you can easily convert your instantiable widget to a widget tag using only one line of code, or even without touching a code base using a configuration OSGI file for the appropriate component. But even that is not the end, and you as a developer can create your own extension, your own fragment processor, and process fragment HTML markup in the way you like. To do it, you have to implement a simple interface, fragment and reprocessor, and it has only two methods, one for processing HTML markup and one to validate HTML markup before saving the fragment. It allows us basically to avoid saving incorrect code. And we have a nice blog article on the community blogs page by Liferay Modern Site Building, where you can find out more how to implement this fragment and reprocessor in details. As any framework, Fragments framework has its particularities. And one of the particularities is the usage of a JavaScript code. As you can see here, our JavaScript code of a fragment is wrapped into a special function which receives fragment element as a parameter. And using this parameter, you can easily access any component of the fragment to change its appearance or behavior. But the global objects like document or window are also available. And the web developer must be really careful using these objects, because using them can affect the behavior of the whole site or even the state of the user's browser. Another particularity is about the CSS styles. And we also allow to use any CSS selector you like to make your fragment as beautiful as you want. And you should be really careful using HTML tag selectors, because using them will affect the appearance of the whole site, not only the particular fragment. Another important feature of the Fragments framework is the possibility to see where a particular fragment is being used. We have a special graphic interface, user interface in the Fragments management application, where you can see all the usages of a particular fragment, and also you can see which version of the fragments code is being used. And for the fragment usages, with a previous version, you can easily propagate the changes, propagate the latest changes of the fragments code. Fragments framework is compatible with staging and standard capacities to export and import fragment collections using LAR files. This basically allows you to share easily your fragment collections across your sites.
So, thanks, Pavel, for the explanation of fragments. Now we are going to go into the details or the benefits of the fragments for the developer. So, one is flexibility. This means as a developer, you have complete control over your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code. That means you don't have to touch the theme, deploy anything, deploy any module. You are always under control. Next, functionality. As Pavel mentioned, you have special tags such as editable fields, or you can embed widgets in your fragments. So it gives you complete functionality over that. And next, the coupling. As a developer, you can abstract yourself completely from the portal. You just stick to that fragment and you don't worry about the implementation. You let someone else handle it.
And now we're going to pass through the second part of the story, creation of the new page templates by our designer. And in Liferay 7.1, we have two types of page templates. Widget page templates, which are well-known page templates from the previous versions, and the content page templates, the new ones. And the designer is able to create new page templates easily and very visually using predefined fragment collections, editing inline texts and images. And the important detail here is that all the fragments on the page templates are copies of the fragments code. So any changes in the fragment code do not affect directly the page template. But it's possible to propagate these changes using the propagation interface as shown before. And what happened with the good old page templates? Well, nothing, but now all the page templates belong to the sites. And we migrated existing page templates to the global site, and you can find them there.
So, what are the benefits of page templates? The first and the second benefits, which are accelerate page creation and careful design, go hand by hand. Why? Because the designer basically knows all the look and feel of the site, so he creates or she creates the template based on that look and feel. So you know that it will have almost perfect design. Next, accelerate page creation. Since templates are used as a base for content pages, so to say, then we know that it will be according to the look and feel, so we don't have to worry about that. And the autonomy is that, since Pavel mentioned it, we can have a huge collection of fragments. So the designer doesn't have to worry about anything. He can just select those fragments that he wants to include in the template.
In Liferay 7.1, we reorganized our product menu. And now we don't have pages tree in our product menu. And instead of that, we have a pages administration application where we use a UX pattern called Miller columns. And in our vision, this pattern allows to manage pages tree easily, especially when a site has a lot of pages. And now we are going to pass through the third part, a key task, as Jürgen mentioned, of our story, creating of new content pages by our business user. And in Liferay 7.1, business user can create a content page just in a few clicks, based on a page template with predefined fragments composition, but not limited to this composition, and a business user can change a fragment composition by adding or deleting any fragment he likes. Also, inline editing of text and images is available for the business user here, and the configuration of all the embedded widgets on the page. We also support common properties for all types of pages, for the widget pages and for the content pages as well. We support friendly URLs, we support SEO properties, JavaScript, look and feel, and so on.
So what are the benefits of the new content pages? Basically, agile construction, you could see it today in Jorge's presentations where there was a slide where he just drag and drop, selected a fragment into the content page and began editing directly to it. Next is incredible visually. As you saw also in that example, you almost got the real last, it was the almost exact rendering of the page directly. And simplified authoring, as I mentioned before, you could just inline edit, change any text that you want, and it will be very fast.
And we also have a special type of new content pages called display pages. And display pages basically allows us to predetermine how the asset is being displayed using fragments. And now we are going to make a brief demonstration of how display pages are created, mapped, and visualized in Liferay 7.1. We have a website on Liferay, which represents a travel agency. And on the first page, on the front page, we have an asset publisher with the map application display template, which allows us basically to choose the next destination to travel to. And I guess you all know that we already have display pages, and the old display pages work like that. You choose the asset, click, and it shows you the asset publisher on some page where this asset publisher is configured as a default asset publisher for the page. And it also needs you to create a template, a DDM template for this particular content type. And what we are going to do with the new display pages is to make it easier. As I mentioned, we have a special web content structure, which is travel offer. It's quite simple, has a couple of fields like from city, to city, price, image, location, and the contact number. And now we are going to create a new display page and visualize our web contents using this display page. In the Pages Administration application, we have a display pages tab. Let's click New, and let's call it Travel Offer. Here we have a panel with all the fragments available, and let's add some fragments. Let it be header, a subheader with the price, an image, and a contact number. And now we want to map these fields. They are just editable fields. Please don't look at these curly brackets. You can put whatever you want. These are just editable areas, as I mentioned before. So we click on the editable area and choose Map. Now we have to choose a structure we want to map to. And it will be travel offer. And choose the field we want to map. We map from city to from city field, to city field, price to price, our image to image. We have a placeholder image by default, just in case, and the contact number. We publish a display page, and let's mark this display page as the default display page for this type of content. Now we are going to create a new web content and visualize it using our new display page. As you can see, we didn't touch the code. We create a new travel offer. For example, it will be an offer to travel to Amsterdam from Madrid for 199 euros. Let's go to Amsterdam, right here. I also have a beautiful picture of Amsterdam. Prepared, this one. And the contact number. Now we can choose a display page to visualize this content with. Or we can just use a default display page, and it says that the default display page for the structure travel offer is travel offer. And that's OK. We publish the content. Log out. Click on our new content, Amsterdam. And it's visualized using our display page with all the fields mapped. It's quite good, and we didn't touch the code. So the only thing we have to do is to put appropriate fragments on a display page and map them to the fields of our structure. For now, we support mapping only for the web content structures. It's an important detail. Let's go back to the presentation. As I mentioned, for now, we support only visualization for the web content structures. But we have plans to implement support for the most popular types of assets like wiki pages or blog articles. But we are not limited to the Liferay assets. And you, as a Liferay developer, can implement your own asset display contributor and visualize your asset type using fragments and new display pages. And we also have a blog article with the same tag. You can find it on our community blogs page and check it out how to implement your own asset display contributor for your types of asset.
OK, let's talk about some of the benefits of the new display pages. First, visual appearance control and easy to use for the business user go hand by hand too. As you saw, you didn't have to touch any line of code, so you just have to click on an editable text field, select which field to be mapped, and it will render correctly. So no lines of code touched there. So it's going to be great for the user. Efficiency and consistency. Why? As Pavel mentioned, you can select a display page to be the default display page for any type of asset. And if you want to change it in the future, it will automatically change. So if you have like 1,000 products and you change the display page, you can show that display page, or it will be shown in that display page. Now we are going to talk about the second pillar of site creation, which is navigation.
In Liferay 7.1, we introduced a new navigation system. And our new navigation is not based on a pages tree anymore. Instead of that, you can create multiple menus with different types of elements. And out of the box, we support 3 types of elements: pages, submenus, and URLs. But we are not limited to these 3 types of menu elements. And I think you understand already that this project is really extensible. And the navigation system is not an exception. And you can easily implement your own type of navigation menu elements, implementing the interface site navigation menu item type. It's quite simple, and it allows you to provide your business user with the possibility to create a menu element with a specific function. We also have a blog article about this topic, and you can find out more visiting our community blogs page. And with the tag Modern Site Building, you will find an article about how to implement in details this site navigation menu item type interface. Important feature of a new navigation is that you can mark any menu as a social menu, secondary menu, or primary menu, or private menu. What's for? Well, since we can create multiple menus, in the navigation menu widget, you have to choose a specific navigation menu you want to show. But instead of that, you can choose a specific function you want to show. For example, you have a site with many pages, and in the footer of every page, you have a navigation menu widget. So you configure this widget to show social navigation, for example. And since this moment, you don't care which menu plays its role right now. You can easily change social navigation function from one menu to another, and it's not necessary to go page by page reconfiguring your navigation menu widget. As I told you at the beginning of this section, our new navigation is not based on a pages tree, but we understand that this change can be really painful for you and your clients, and that's why we introduced this option. This option allows you basically to mark any menu as a menu to add pages by default. And using this option, we actually maintain all the features of the pages tree-based navigation, including pages hierarchy. Good news about new navigation also are that we support existing application display templates for the navigation menu widgets as are, and it's not necessary to change your application display templates to make them work with the new navigation menus.
So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of the new navigation menus. Basically, flexibility. As we already saw, it's easy to create a lot of navigation menus. That's the first thing. Also, the navigation menus don't only contain pages. They can contain URLs or submenus. Also, adaptability. As Pavel mentioned, you can have several navigation menus with different functions, such as primary, secondary, and the social one. So you can just configure any navigation menu for that widget for that navigation menu, and it will change accordingly for the one that you choose. And next, agility. We provide an interface to add as many navigation menus as you want. So you can just go inside of that interface and add or remove as many navigation menu items for that navigation menu. And that's it, basically. So we have showed you a complete life cycle of the fragments, templates, and page creation for the different roles and the different users. And this is only the beginning. This is basically a foundation. So we are going to keep improving on this, and as we invite you to go to tomorrow's presentation of the DXP roadmap. There you will see more of what is going to come, and it's a very exciting future. And please keep in touch with us. We have tomorrow a workshop that is going to be given by Pablo and by Marco, who are here in our audience. And you should come there because they are going to show you how fragments are created, and it's a good building block. And also, please come to our community events. And a big shout out to the team. Here are all the persons that were responsible for what you saw, and almost all of us are here, so please just stop us at any time and ask us any questions. We are willing to talk with you about whatever you want. And it cannot only be modern site building, but whatever you want also. And also, thanks to Pavel for the demo and the blog entries that he created for this presentation. And that's it. Just thank you all for being here, and please rate us in the app. That's basically it.